Public school teachers are elated to be receiving health coverage, once again after wrapping up their contract talks this week. Hundreds of educators in the Bahamas Union of Teachers got the news from BUT President Belinda Wilson in a teary-eyed setting on Wednesday evening. Our Giovanni Stewart was there.
An emotional president of the Bahamas Union of Teachers, Belinda Wilson, as she delivers the government's counter-proposal, the final and often contentious financial component of the BUT's industrial agreement. But of the nearly $25 million the government will invest in salary increases and financial benefits for teachers over the next year, it was the $13.6 million it plans to pump into comprehensive health care coverage that created the watershed moment. The BUT president negotiated for full coverage for teachers, but in light of economic times, settled at the government's counter-offer of 80% coverage of premiums, or $284 per teacher a month, with teachers picking up the tab of 20%. Colina is the insurer. Wilson further underscores the necessity of better health benefits for teachers.
We have a lot of our teachers who are uninsurable in the standard world. So coming in as a group, that's a plus for them. 1 year ago, the union had to terminate their insurance. I had teachers that I had to look into their faces every day who had cancer and no coverage, kidney failure and no coverage. That was the hardest thing that I had to do.
I could not go, I could not seek medical, I could not go away because I needed insurance. But I have to thank God for this leader, because right now I have insurance.
Every teacher we talked to shared similar sentiments.
Well, I think for the most part, everything that was discussed was something that teachers had labored for over the years. But for me, what was more meaningful was the medical insurance.
The health insurance is the part of the whole agreement that I'm most grateful for. It was with spirit of gratitude I stand here today.
Some educators are calling it the best deal ever. The BUT's latest industrial agreement will be signed off by week's end. I'm Giovanni Stewart, ZNS News.
Now, just hours after BUT President Belinda Wilson shared the details of the new industrial agreement with an enthusiastic room of teachers, Prime Minister Hubert Ingraham foreshadowed the government's plans for teachers during his annual New Year's address last evening.
And we continue to improve the terms of engagement of teachers in the government-operated school system. Before the end of this fiscal year, teachers will begin to enjoy a new health insurance benefit which will entitle them to up to 80% of the premium for single insurance coverage to be paid by the government.
Well, they prayed for a big miracle for their tiny patient, and tonight those prayers, along with some skillful surgery, appear to have paid off for a 3-week-old conjoined twin. Doctors at the Princess Margaret Hospital say the surgery performed on the 3-week-old, the first to be performed in the Caribbean, was successful. LaDawn Davis reports on the baby's condition.
It may have taken doctors at least 8 hours to perform, but miraculously, though, that historical surgery for that 3-week-old baby girl was a successful one, and her condition is stable.
She's very stable on a ventilator, and when we look at all of her monitoring parameters, the blood gases, where we look how we are exchanging oxygen and carbon dioxide for the baby, those numbers are very good. So it looks like we have a good opportunity for weaning the ventilator. She's still on good support from the ventilator, so the ventilator is doing most of the work for her. But we anticipate once we get her out of the immediate postoperative period, remember she's being sedated.
With that progress report given by Director of the Neonatal Intensive Care Unit, Dr. Gwen McDigan, it appears that the under 5-pound baby girl is in good health. Neurosurgeon Dr. Magnus Akidede applauded his medical team for making history in the Caribbean and a job well done. He explained the dangers of a parasitic tumor.
It can actually change into a cancer. But if it's a parasitic tumor, it has now matured in a way, if it's a mature type, that is not going to change into a different thing. But the attachment remains the same. The complexity remains the same. So we believe it's a parasitic tumor. You can see the leg, small leg with some toes on the specimen we removed. And you can see complete binding with the spine.
Parents Ozzie and Chantel Joseph say it's been a roller coaster ride for them, but they are thankful.
We'd like to thank everyone who are here this afternoon. We'd like to thank everyone who was helping us to pray. Yesterday when we came here, he was have a good multi-prayer with us. He was here to help us, to pray with us, to encourage us that the surgery was going to be well done. We thank the doctors and the nurses and everyone who are here. We know by our own strength that could be done, but with God everything is possible.
Thank God for my miracle baby girls. And I will say thank you to all the doctors, every doctors. Thank you so much, especially them nurses. From when my baby born, they was help my baby. So I say thank you so much.
Now, depending on the progress of that young baby girl, doctors say her parents should be able to take her home in about 2 to 3 weeks. LaDawn Davis, ZNS News.
Last evening, we told you that a man was gunned down in the Adelaide community, pushing the murder count to 8 for the year. Police say 27-year-old Delroy Jerome Daxon of Cowpen Road was in the area of the Oasis restaurant when he was shot multiple times. Officer in charge of the Central Detective Unit, Paul Roll, spoke with us at the scene.
There we found a male with multiple gunshot wounds about the body, upper extremities, as well as the head. Officers are, as you can see, on the scene right now, processing the scene. This is preliminary stages of the investigation. We do feel very encouraged by the progress so far of what we have made in these investigations. And we still appeal to members of the public who may have information to contact us with that information.
Well, within hours of that murder, detectives identified a suspect and have issued an all-points bulletin for his arrest. Police are searching for 41-year-old Edward Taylor, also known as Sin, of Bacardi Road and formerly of Mastic Point, Andros. Taylor is described as having a dark brown complexion and medium build and stands 5 feet 9 inches tall. Anyone with information on the whereabouts of Edward Taylor is asked to contact the Central Detective Unit at 502-9991, 502-9910, or Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS. From the courts today, 21-year-old Daniel Delroy Roll of Dumping Ground Corner was arraigned on a murder charge in connection with the death of 25-year-old Dennis Tynes. Tynes was reportedly shot in the head behind Needles Inn restaurant and bar on Lincoln Boulevard on January 15th. The incident marked the 5th murder for the year. Roll was not required to enter a plea and has been remanded to prison. The matter will be fast-tracked to the Supreme Court. Meantime, the written ruling on the dismissed bail application for Baptist clergyman Randy Fraser was made public today. It was delivered by the Court of Appeal. The justices based their overriding decision on the fact that the applicant's reasons for being granted bail did not constitute exceptional circumstances. Fraser, in his bail application, requested bail on the grounds that his wife had angina, that his daughter, who was mentally unstable, needed his companionship and support, that he was of good character, that he did not expect to go to prison, and therefore hadn't put his affairs in order as the Christmas holidays approached. Justices of the Court of Appeal reasoned that, despite Fraser's submissions, a person not yet tried and convicted is still presumed innocent, so that the presumption may be weighed in his favor. On the other hand, where he is already convicted, the presumption of innocence falls away, and the applicant can no longer rely on that as a factor weighing in his favor. Bail, the written statement further indicated, should be granted only if the court can affirmatively answer the question of whether there are exceptional circumstances, and the court could not find in Randy Fraser's case. Fraser was denied bail on December 16th last year after being convicted of unlawful sex with a dependent. He is currently serving a 3-year prison sentence. The Bahamas Red Cross is getting set to honor one of its long-serving volunteers at this weekend's Red Cross Ball. The annual event, now in its 40th year, is one of the primary fundraisers for the social relief-based organization. This year, noted lifetime member Beverly Wallace Whitfield is being recognized for her years as a volunteer with the Red Cross, which began in the 1980s. Wallace Whitfield says for her, it's always been about service above self.
I feel that to serve, you really get the reward. It comes back to you. It's just like when you have your hand out and giving, it's already open to receive. And it's important for us to not have this attitude that you must always be paid for whatever you do. That you just do it for the love of doing it. And you can do that certainly by serving Red Cross.
Now, over the decades, Wallace Whitfield has served on virtually all of the volunteer organization's committees. She feels, however, that her greatest contribution to the development of the Red Cross was leading the charge to boost the number of volunteers and the hands-on work she personally performed to help those in need, here at home and overseas.
I was part of a delegation that went down to Antigua and Montserrat after Hurricane Hugo, and we distributed relief supplies to the people who were badly in need of it. And that, because we had to be up early and really putting ourselves into it. And I'll forever remember that.
Now, the 40th annual Red Cross Ball will be held at the Wyndham Nassau Resort on Saturday. Always known for its world-class entertainment, R&B crooner Eddie Levert of the OJs will be the special guest artist.